What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd J Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. Marvel Zombies reaction. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Doomsday rapping, and there's some rumors about how much resetting happens in Secret Wars. We'll get a bit of an update on Spider-Man and some of the things that have happened lately. A new cast member, which he was in, what was that show on the CW? Black Lightning.
Black Lightning.
Yes. He was the best part of that show. We got some updates on X-Men 97 and Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Seems like they're going to be doing seasons
forever.
But we'll see about that. Marvel Zombies, Brian. I saw it today. I saw 4 episodes. I want to hear what you have to say and what people have been saying about the show. Then I'll give you my thoughts on how I received it. And I'll give you a hint. I just saw it just to see it. What's going on with Marvel Zombies, Brian? What's the reaction that people are having towards this release?
Sadly, I kind of feel like just no momentum on the TV side of Marvel right now. You can just feel the stale bread. Isn't it? That's kind of what it feels, right? Doesn't it? Like between like Ironheart getting dumped, Eyes of Wakanda got dumped. This felt like it got dumped. Wonder Man feels like it's getting shafted before it comes out. You know, even going back to like Echo getting dumped, like it just feels like Marvel TV is, and like just on top of that, the one thing that they really try to promote, Daredevil, nobody showed up for. They played to a half-empty arena for that. It just feels like Marvel television just has no mo right now. No, you talk about Powers losing his mojo. Hey, this thing has no life right now, and I felt that way watching this show. It's like, I know that I'm not watching anything consequential. I think the animation style is pretty good. Like, I think the What If style of animation, I like this. I like the appearance. I like how they, the effects, the action. I really enjoy the visuals of this show and What If style. But right from the first scene, I just was kind of like, I'm lukewarm. And I have this like sinking feeling that's just like a Marvel thing right now. Like, it's just like, it just wasn't ever gripped by what I was seeing. Is it terrible? No. Is it awesome? No. It just kind of feels like What If 3.5, and What If 3 was not good.
It feels like whatever. Like this show should be called Marvel's Whatever.
Well, ironically, it kind of feels like Marvel television is one giant zombie.
I am tired of them using the Hulk in these situations. Like I was watching it, Brian, I was like, he's just there. He's just there. He has all this power, he's just there, not doing
Infinity
nothing.
Hulk.
It's like, I don't know what's up with Kevin Feige and the rest of Marvel wanting to put Kamala Khan over. So bad. Really? Like, isn't it weird almost? Like, yo, what's this in? Why are you trying to put? Yeah, it makes you be like, yo, what's the deal here, yo? It's weird. It's like Michael Jackson and the Kid. It's like, what? Why?
Oh my God.
Why are you guys hanging? Why are you trying to? No.
All right, okay, so you just gave people something at the end and something at the beginning. You want to do it? You want to do Infinity Hulk at the end, or you want to do this Young Avengers obsession at the beginning?
Let's do this Young Avengers stuff because it's like, I'm tired of it already.
So yeah, I felt the same way of like, I texted you like the second the first scene came on and they got the 3 girls in the car, and I'm like, really? Like we're doing this? Like that's the lead? And it felt, to my point about stale, that was like the lead off of several ideas and character arcs in this mini series that felt like they were good ideas in 2021. Like you could kind of see like, because What If introduces the zombie episode this alt universe, zombie universe in season 1. Remember, it's like way back, right? So you gotta
Yeah.
think back to like, okay, they announced the spinoff show coming off of that first season. So the construction of this and the characters they featured kind of felt like they were from yesteryear. And, like, that Young Avengers thing they did other than the one teaser scene, which went like, it hasn't gone anywhere 'cause there's no steam for it. And so when you see the 3 of them, you're like, "This felt like a thing you thought was gonna be a thing when you conceived of it 5 years ago, and it's just turned out kinda, at least so far, DOA." And that led to several things where it's like, you mentioned Kamala Khan getting a lot of airtime. Katie got a lot of airtime in this series too, and I'm like, "We ain't seen Shang-Chi anywhere. That guy's in witness protection." And it's like, the 2 of them are also front and center in this series to where you're like, this very much felt like you wrote it right after Shang-Chi came out, and you thought that he was gonna be remember, they were talking about him as, like, the new Cap, like, the new leader of the Avengers 5 years ago. So, again, it just felt like a very stale idea. And then not to mention, Blade and the Blade Knight and all that, and, like, I have a quote about that where they admitted that this was supposed to be something different because they expected that Blade movie would already have been out by the time this show came out, and they completely repurposed it once it became apparent that that wasn't happening. So, again, a stale idea they thought was gonna be at the center of this action. That's just a lot of what this felt like.
It bothered me listening to that voice that sounds so much like Mahershala Ali. So much like Mahershala Ali. So much. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know what these dudes are trying to do, man. It's like,
Well, I know they're
it's upsetting, yo.
no,
It's upsetting. It's
yeah.
upsetting.
No, I mean, these are at this point, like I said, I think it's trolling. I think that there's a little bit of this, like
I didn't want to say that, but
yeah, but
it's
that's
like,
what it feels like in the promotion, in the scenes that he gets, like, he does get some of the coolest action beats in this series. Like, he does legit get some of the, like, cool sword play and, like, super slow-mo, like, ninja style action, and you're like, it is kinda just grating at this point when, like, we realize what should have happened, what could have happened if you just kept it simple and didn't overthink it, and didn't overclutter it. But instead, like, you have this Blade Knight thing that, yeah, like I said, it almost is like a painful reminder at this point. And if you're Mahershala Ali, I don't know if you bother watching this, but like someone's probably going to tell you about it or tell your agent about it. And how does it not rankle?
yeah. Yeah.
You're the only unless you count Rachel Weisz not being the widow mom, which to me is inconsequential, as good an actress as Rachel Weisz is. Every Avengers voice that was non-zombie was here. Every single one except one. It's Mahershala, and it's like, it stands out that, like, his replacement is trying to do an impression of him.
And what's his name? Tom?
Todd Williams?
Who? But yeah, man, I was watching it and I was like, the only thing TVMA about this was the gore and but nothing else. The conversation was like, it's like they're competing with trying to be funny with. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Did they so they obviously built a story toward, sort of a grand showdown that was a zombie apocalypse version of, like, the Infinity Saga. I have to admit, I am not the biggest either fan or expert on zombie genre, like what really works for people and what makes it great. My impression was this show did not necessarily get there. Like, when I think about things I have seen, for example, like, there are scenes in World War Z that I find sort of captivating in terms of how the zombies kind of pile on each other as they're kind of and, like, I kind of felt like in this show I was waiting for a little more cool zombie effects, if you will, or I don't know, just like I think that other than Scarlet Witch kind of warping reality, which quite honestly we've seen in live action already in Multiverse of Madness, there wasn't a lot of, I don't know, what seemed like cool undead stuff. Like, I watched a little bit of Walking Dead, like, when it first came out, and, like, Obviously, Last of Us, and more recently has been in the zeitgeist. But like, I feel like all of those
Walking Dead
shows.
has turned into like General Hospital, yo. It's like this joint doesn't stop, you know?
Yeah, but I feel like each of those shows has a very distinctive effect for their zombie. Like their zombie moves, acts,
Yeah.
does 28 days
Even
later.
I like I Am Legend.
Oh yeah, great example, right? Distinctive look and behavior. And this one I felt like kind of didn't quite have that, even though you had the
Yeah.
luxury of some of these zombies were characters we knew. I didn't necessarily feel like they acted or behaved um in a cool enough I don't know, for lack of a better word, a cool enough manner. So it just felt like, again, it just wasn't quite getting there despite the premise being kind of, should be interesting. It seemed again like this is how we felt, I think, with What If. A lot of the show, it just felt like it was falling short of the idea. Like the imagination
Oh
didn't
yeah, for
quite get
sure.
to what the concept should have been.
Yeah. And I think everyone could agree that the only What If episode that captivated everyone was the Doctor Strange one. That was the only one. That
That's
was the only one.
Yes, that's the best single episode. Although I will say, like I said, I thought season 2 had momentum. I thought there was parts of season 2
Mhm.
that I thought were progressing serially in a good direction, and I think 3 just blew that up. I don't even understand what the intent was, But again, it's like,
Yeah.
it makes me, it's like this show was the brainchild of one of the What If showrunners and one of the writers of She-Hulk. To your point about the humor, if you're wondering where it came from, one of the writers was a writer on She-Hulk. And that probably explains the more comedic side of this show not working for you, because I know the comedy in that show didn't work for you either.
I just don't I don't know. The humor just doesn't capture me like
But that's comedy though, right? Like comedy is very specific. I think comedy is much more tailored to an individual taste than almost any other genre.
what seems to be the temperature of other people who have watched it.
Lukewarm. Lukewarm. So, I mean, the critics are down on it. It's like it's about like 65%, which for a television show is very low. Like most TV shows, if you're halfway decent, you're firmly in the 80s. If you're really good, Peacemaker, for example, I think is like 98. Andor was like 100. Like, it's very common for good TV shows to be in the 90s. So 65 is bad. Audience score for this, I think, is higher. It's probably around like 80. But again, I don't see a lot of chatter about it. I don't see a lot of people being like, "You gotta stop what you're doing, get over to Disney Plus and watch Marvel." There's just no event time. There's just nothing about this. I did
And they dump it right there for everybody
so
to
the
watch.
one thing I thought that caught my attention in a discussion of this that was interesting was I didn't realize they actually contemplated making this a movie because it's only 4 episodes. And it's about 2 hours. But the reason they didn't make it a movie is because they wanted Spider-Man to be a central character, and the Sony rights issue blocked them from using him if it had been a movie. But as a mini series, they were allowed to use him, and that's why they did it the way they did.
I don't
I
know.
have a question for you.
Yeah.
Right now, it's hard to trust much of anything Marvel, but had they done this in live action, do you think it's a bigger deal?
I think so.
Like as a special, right? Maybe as like as opposed to the hour-long special, they literally do 4 30-minute episodes, live action, or they bring it out around Halloween. Bigger
Yes.
deal, right? I think.
But but the cost
Yes.
would be
Especially
tremendous.
with the vocal talent. That's the other thing is like you got all these people in it, man. I kind of feel sorry for them because I'm like, look at I see the talent, of the actors and the actresses, and I'm like, man, I can't imagine you thought you were gonna be doing this a couple years in. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough, but it is a great cast, and, it's yeah. It was one of those things where I got done with it, and I was like, "Yeah, I hear you. It's too expensive. It's too much of a risk. They wouldn't do it." But in this day and age where zombie TV and zombie movies do sell, it made me wonder if, like, this as live action
If
would have
if
gotten
Marvel
people's
would have
attention.
been if Marvel would have been on the up and up, if they still would have been roaring, if they still would have been hitting, yes, this possibly perhaps gets a green light for a live action. But right now, you just don't take chances on something that you're not sure of, and especially, I mean, look at the reception of this, man. It's like, how do you You get fired over something like this if you even attempted something like that, or you would think.
Yeah, it's weird to hear like Brad Windermore was like, they asked him, would there be more of this? And because obviously there's a cliffhanger ending. I won't spoil it, but there's a cliffhanger ending. And he's like, well, sure, if people watch it, we'll make more of it. And I'm like, I don't think that was going to happen.
Hell no.
I think the question becomes, because we can segue to Winterbaum's comments about some of the other shows. Like when you say people getting fired, and it's strong language to be sort of throwing that around, but these people associated with the What If series, I don't know how involved we want them to be, and unfortunately, What If, zombies, and then of course they're taking over another beloved show.
Let's transition over to
Right.
that. So there's a good segue to X-Men, man, because X-Men, man, y'all already know X-Men 97 was it's like
Extraordinary.
you couldn't wait from week to this, because this wasn't dumped a la Echo.
No, this was a big deal.
You know, a la, yes. Every week I could not wait, Brian. It brought me back to Saturday mornings X-Men. I couldn't wait for Saturday morning to hear that these are some of the people involved in X-Men 97.
Was not just involved, they're in charge. They are in charge of the rewrite. They are in charge of the direction. And given that Disney has already committed to 3 seasons, at least, of X-Men 97, they're in for 2 seasons.
And Bo DeMayo is gonna be on fire. Our Bo Knows segment is gonna go crazy, because he's gonna be breaking down what should have been shown, what we should have been seeing, what should have been going on, what story should have been told.
And the tricky part of that is, season 1 left us with a very specific plan across multiple timelines. It's a very specific past, future, present. To rewrite that from scratch and then say, we got to take it in a completely different direction from what was intended, that is hard for a good writer to do. And the stuff they've been writing, we're looking at being like, like, again, you said, like, we were talking about with the DC show, how do you mess up the question? How do you mess up What If? Seriously, like, that should not be a show that is ever bad, man.
Yeah.
Like,
the premise was laid out for you. Just follow it. But no, you want to do your own thing. You want to put your name on it and put your stamp that I did this. Now, good for you. You did this. Now you're associated with garbage.
And you blew it. You blew it.
you're not in touch with the audience's viewpoint on this. Like, again, this is a universe that made, $30+ billion at the box office. It is ripe for you to subvert, manipulate, swap, do all sorts of fun things with. And like season 3 in particular definitely felt like some people sitting around a room having a couple pops being like,
Just
this should be
having
cool.
fun.
It'd be cool. We should do this. And it's like
Voltron Avengers, yo.
Godzilla, whatever. Godzilla,
Hulk. It's like,
What the hell are we doing here, Harry?
it's saddening. It's not even maddening. It's saddening.
You got What If canceled within 3 seasons.
That's
Crazy.
But you could have had 13 seasons of What If, yo. You could have had What If, as long as Marvel was doing its thing. What If could have been that one thing that always would have worked.
I'm telling you, that is literally like I handed you. That's like
criminal.
I handed you Carl Lewis, Usain Bolt, Ben Johnson, and Noah Lyles on the same relay, and you finished last. Like, you didn't even make the finals. Like, that's not possible. Again, this is an unconstrained concept. that has a comics basis that people liked. And in 3 seasons, you forced the studio to say no more.
That's
And your penalty
crazy,
for
yo.
that was you got to take over the Emmy-nominated show. I will tell you this, if X-Men 97 fizzles and it's out in 3 seasons, actually, in a weird way, I don't even put that on the showrunners. That's 100% on Disney. 100%. Because you saw these guys run something into the ground, and you promoted them. So if they ruin X-Men 97, that's on
The
you.
rants on this show will be bananas. I will be bringing stuff. Yo, because it's like, how you do? It's frustrating, yo. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. What if when we were doing our
I
top
had it
10
number
or whatever
1.
things we're
I
looking
had it
forward
number 1 because I was like, this is the easiest thing to make good for a long period of time. Couldn't have been more wrong on that.
and just have dope
Yeah,
one single
yes, if you want
episode.
the
But
if you want the best case to never listen to me on this show, I think I had Loki either second to the bottom or bottom, and I
last.
had What If first. That is your, like, yeah, that's my, like, New York Jets front office moment, like, right there. It's like, that's my equivalent of the draft highlights they play every year for them. Like,
Let's segue over to Friendly Neighborhood
Mhm.
Spider-Man. That's a show that was really
Yep,
done
I
well,
agree.
Brian. I have no complaints with that. Is one of my favorite Spider-Man shows that I've seen. I really, really, really
I agree.
enjoyed that. What's going on with
So
that?
there, the development is more what they wanna do with it in terms of frequency. So I think they're with X-Men 97 and Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, they are trying to turn those into annual shows. And they're kinda saying that season 2 is already baked for 2026. Season 3 is currently in development for both shows coming in 2027, and they're saying that is, in fact, a goal, that these shows can run for a long time, and they can put 1 out per year. I mean
Sounds like What If?
again, it's like I don't necessarily take umbrage with that frequency. I mean, as you know, like with back in the day, like things like Batman the Animated Series. I mean, how many episodes were in a season? 50, 60? I mean, these were in
That's crazy. And they were
right.
dope. Almost all of
Yeah.
them, yo.
Oh, no
That's
excuses, right? So
crazy.
now we're asking them to do 8 to 10 good episodes per year, right?
That's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
So I think it's a reasonable goal, but again, it goes back to the continuity, having the right people in charge and like being able to identify and tell the right story per season to like make this run like that kind of machine. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's on the one hand, it's encouraging, but certainly on the Spider-Man front, I think that's encouraging because it is the same people. The X-Men front, it's like they got to prove themselves. They got to prove themselves.
Cartoons aren't what they used to be for me. And for like my son watches Thundercats now, yo. And he be telling me the lessons that Lionel learned. He attacked two Hazen when he attacked Tiger when he broke the sword of Omen. He was telling me the story, yo. Like you don't get like 50 something episodes of Batman. You couldn't Monday through Friday, and then X-Men on Saturday. We don't get that. Now we get 8 episodes, yo. Like we treating these joints like
We treat them like an HBO show. I mean, they're basically structured the same as an HBO show. But you're right. I mean, that's why people, it's funny. We just passed the anniversary of the Batman release, right? It was late September. That way, we just passed. It was 33 years ago. 33 years ago, man, we're old. Um, but but to do that day after day and not really have a quality drop off, and to do it then year after year, you don't see that. It's just not done that way anymore.
let's talk about the inclusion. Well, let's stay on Spider-Man. There's been some Spider-Man updates on Brand New Day. Tom Holland unfortunately suffered an accident. Thank God it wasn't the Alec Baldwin
Oh
type
God, I didn't
accident.
know you were gonna bring that up.
But he suffered a concussion. He apparently had he cracked his head or he landed, and this is with as much anticipation that we have to seeing what that Destin Daniel Cretton has done with this new sort of Spider-Man swinging, which we've caught glimpses of, but we're looking forward to seeing what this looks like on screen and how this was done. These are the chances you take. Hopefully he's okay, but they're gonna resume filming, I think,
It was a
next
week. I
week
think
or
they've
something like
already.
that. I
I
know
think
they've
they have
kicked some
already.
time off,
I think they have already resumed.
but it's somebody else in the suit now.
Some of the scenes have been a stuntman. We don't totally know because obviously, like sometimes it's him, it's Holland because he takes the mask off to sign autographs and that sort of stuff, and then he goes right up on the rig, and it's him. Other times it could be the stunt double, but weirdly, this is a win for Tom Holland because this is like his answer to the Tom Cruise breaking his ankle doing his own stunts on Mission Impossible. Tom Holland now, when he goes on the PR tour, will be able to talk about getting concussed because he was doing the practical effects. A Brand New Day. I'm saying, so I'm glad he's not seriously hurt, but the fact that he's not seriously hurt means this is actually a win for him and the movie, that he can say like, yeah, we did that. I did that.
And shout outs to him because I think we mentioned this before. He's in the room talking about how Peter should be written and stuff like that. Because we want this done well. We want Peter Parker's character to have some sort of storyline. It's not all about Spider-Man. It's about Peter and how he handles life and what he wants to do versus what he has to do. So I'm glad that he's in the room. I'm glad he's listening to what fans have to say, what they have been saying. And so kudos to him for, having a voice for the
Whatever
characters.
else we want to say about him, he is demonstrating, certainly with this return to being Peter Parker at a little bit of a more advanced age, you can't say he doesn't care. He definitely has shown in his comments and sort of his efforts behind the scenes. And we know this from the past where like the Sony Marvel partnership is uneasy. And Tom Holland at times has been central to holding that together. So you do have to give him his flowers for wanting to represent and ride for the fans of this character. And he's been very vocal about this one kind of, Brand New Day is a very literal title, right? He said it is technically my fourth, but the way it's written, the way it's being shot, the way we put it together, he's like, and the way the story has left me, it very much is my first, right? And he's talking about the streets level suit, no tech, right? Nobody knows who he is anymore. Starting like he's pitching it as this is a new chapter one, but he's gone into, the Reddits and threads to find things that fans really want to see brought to life on screen, and he's trying to pitch for those. Now, how many of those we get in the final cut, we don't know, but he is trying to rep for at least some of those in this film. I do think if we may put the Tombstone casting in here, I would like to congratulate them on this because this is one of those examples of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So Marvin Jones, as you said, who was Tobias Whale in Black Lightning, but actually also was Tombstone in Into the Spider-Verse. He already played motion capture animation for this character, and they said, we ain't going to do better. We ain't going to do better in terms of voice, in terms of demeanor. So you know what? He is Tombstone now in the live action. I actually think that was a like, don't overthink it. Like he did a good job. You already know he can do the character. You're just having him do it fully practically now.
We would have hoped they would have had this same sort of mentality when they were going to start doing Daredevil. But no. Finally, they came to their senses. So we'll see how that looks like in season 2.
Well, that's those weird things too of like different crews, different direct. Like that's where it's like it's the same house technically, and obviously we know Sony. I mean, Sony's past when it comes to this stuff is pretty rough. But it's like, yeah, I mean, as we say, we on this show we debate the merits of Shang-Chi, but like I look at it, if you just look at it from Cretton's standpoint, his premise was I wanted to pay homage to Jackie Chan in the style. Like he did that. Like if you like it, that's great. If you don't, you don't. But from a casting standpoint, he got Michelle Yeoh, he got Tony Leung, like, he delivered some pretty good and you can I didn't have a problem with Simu Liu. I think he had a tough assignment because he was opposite, as I said, he's opposite these, like, legendary older actors. But, like, you know, Cretton clearly my point is he has a view. Like, this is a guy who has an angle and has a
Yeah,
take,
yeah.
and it's like he is executing that, and I think we're gonna see something that does look different. Whether we love it is TBD, but I respect the artistry, I guess, of how this is being put together.
I'll say this one thing, because I have to say it when it comes to Shang-Chi and why I didn't like it. And man, if you watch the show long enough, you know why, and you know what I was expecting with regards to Shang-Chi. Again, I mentioned Ninja Assassin. Uh, Here's the thing with the homage to Jackie Chan. He's still around, and his work is still around. We still see it. To see it done over and over again in different scenarios is nothing new. Like Bruce Lee now. That's an essence and a presence. They had Enter the Dragon the other day, yo. It still captivates you when you watch him. Shang-Chi was based off of him. They should have went there. That's my problem. And it's like, but if you watch Ninja Assassin, you get that same sort of feeling. You see that danger in this dude. You didn't see that danger with Shang-Chi that much. He looked like a regular dude that
Some
knew how
of
to
that,
fight,
though, in
to
fairness,
me.
is the Ninja Assassin is the over-the-top gore, R-rated, right? There is a sense of threat, chaos, and violence that they can do at that level that is not gonna be possible in a PG, Marvel movie. Right, so there is a bit of that,
Certainly,
yeah.
certainly, but it was just his aura, his the way he carried himself, the way his look. He just looked dangerous. Simu Liu didn't look dangerous to me.
You know what's funny? I finally got around to watching Karate Kid Legends. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
None, I haven't.
Finally got around to watching it.
I gotta hear what you gotta say about Ralph Macchio. Go ahead.
He's not in it that much, actually. He's only really in the back half of it, and he isn't asked to do that much physically, as you would expect. Jackie Chan does a little bit more. I think the action defies believability because the kid is pretty good, Ben Wang. He's not bad. But by putting these kids on wires in this world, it kind of goes too far, if that makes sense. Like we've gone from Daniel LaRusso's lack of athleticism to this guy is literally like, one footing off a wall 12 feet up to do a spinning kick on it like a thug in an alleyway. I'm like, this is Crouching Tiger meets Karate Kid, but I will say, but there's a
Ye
Bruce Lee moment in this because his character
Okay.
uses the 1-inch punch. He knows it and he
Ooh, okay.
uses it in the tournament, and it's just like they don't ever say like where it came from, but obviously if you understand the lineage, that's a nod clearly to Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan himself, who obviously came up
Yeah.
in the shadow of Bruce Lee and has always said like the reason why he developed the style he did was because he couldn't measure up to the martial arts prowess of Bruce Lee. So he's like, I had to introduce the comedic element of getting hurt and taking bumps because I
Yeah.
just couldn't
Yeah.
be him.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
used the 1-inch punch, and I was like, the second I saw it, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting that but that's what I mean. Like Karate Kid 1-inch punch in a
Mm.
tournament, like, come on, that's a little like you're pushing it. So
Yeah. I gotta Daniel LaRusso, you got lucky, yo. You still can't beat me. You got lucky, yo.
it's the Buster Douglas of the All Valley tournament.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah, he did.
Buster Douglas was a
He did
fighter
actually
though.
win that
He was a
fight. That
fighter.
wasn't a one punch. He out fought a unprepared Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And he had
stay in
skills,
shape.
but he just didn't wasn't disciplined
Yeah.
enough to yo. But he was vicious when he was on point. Doomsday
Yeah, wrapped filming
for now.
exactly. It's like that's all I thought about. There was a 5-month
now.
initial shoot, and I'm looking at my thing like, okay, September. So they got 15 months. So I'm like, oh, they got room for at least 3 rounds of shoots at this point.
They go look at what they got, put the story together, and go back. Okay, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, we gotta do this.
I think it will be at least 2. I think there'll be at least 2 rounds of pickups and redos. Completed primary photography, but comes word that maybe Secret War's not as big of a reboot as we have all assumed. I thought this was interesting. So this got introduced into the ether that, yes, I think because Kevin Feige has used the word reset, not reboot. And now there's some word out there that 75 to 80% of the original timeline will be preserved.
Wow, that's a lot.
I think that's a high number. That will involve the resurrection of some heroes and villains, as well as the erasure of some minor events that bother fans and Kevin Feige. But that 75 to 80s feels like a lot for what I would have assumed they would have wanted to do to kind of set up X-verse and all this sort of stuff making sense.
I don't know what this is or what it will be, but I think his job is on the line if whatever happens after Secret Wars doesn't work, because I think they'll give him that chance to do X-Men because, he's done what he's done and he deserves that opportunity to do what he thinks is the right thing to do with the X-Men. But if that doesn't work out, it is a rizap. And all we can hope for is that he gives us something that we've been sort of waiting for to see in terms of it being in the MCU.
I think it's going to be, look, I think this year was alarming as far as the downward momentum of Marvel. When I still am surprised that Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four combined didn't make $1 billion. I didn't think either one would make it on its own, but sub 400, sub 600 for 2 movies that are legitimately pretty good and at least closer in spirit to more vintage Marvel, that's concerning. And I get it's an ocean liner. Like sometimes it takes a little while to turn. And I get you still have the Deadpool Wolverine success, which is only about a year old. But, like Doomsday and Secret Wars to me are kind of like Band-Aids. It's sort of like, yeah, like they'll do numbers, but they're not going to do numbers. And it's like, if they do, $1.1 billion, if they do, $1.3 billion, like, I don't think they're going to leave much of an imprint. And so you could come into X-Men where like, it could take like a 9.5 out of 10 movie to get people to really feel a different way about that Marvel logo again. And that's a tough place to be. Like, we're going to do a show later about trying to build a successful
Yeah.
X-verse. And I mean, when you're faced with that kind of challenge, a lot of times bad decisions get made. That's when you start stuffing movies and taking bigger swings than you should and rushing things because you're just like, I got to turn the tide. I got to turn the tide. And you wind up compounding the challenge. But I'm definitely concerned. I think, you and I have said, like, we're more excited about Spider-Man Brand New Day right now than we are about, either of these upcoming Avengers projects. But coming into X-Men cold, that could be tough because, like, I gotta be honest,
That's
like,
tough,
the X-Men, on the big screen, we've had a number of pretty successful movies. You could argue how many classics we've had, but we've had a number of pretty successful movies. But they haven't been billion-dollar movies. Like, call it for what it is, man. Like, even when they've been well regarded, they're kinda like $700 million at a time when Global Box was there. So, like, this is not Batman. That's my point. This is not Spider-Man.
Avengers doesn't make $1 billion
No,
without the
of course
movies
not.
that came before it. X-Men, and I think we've talked about it, but I've made mention about how they should approach leading up towards uh, X-Men. We should have gotten a Wolverine anthology, yo. We should have gotten something that leads us up to that point. Avengers, I mean, X-Men should be an event, not just a movie of a team of mutants, which you've got in the past before. Obviously, these are going to be different. This is going to be in the MCU. We're going to go in with that same feeling. What if Fantastic Four was in the hands of the MCU and we got that and we loved it, right?
Well, we just did get that, and it turned out to be a pretty good movie and not that big of a deal.
But even with that curiosity and excitement that we may have for the X-Men, given what sort of audience that they're trying to gear this towards, I don't know if the excitement is going to be such a long-lasting one that they'll keep doing it because, again, the box office numbers will dictate how to move forward. And it just can't be an X-Men movie and then we see another X-Men movie like 2-3 years from now. If you're doing a mutant saga, do the mutant saga. You have the platform with Disney Plus to give us some stuff that lead us to an X-Men movie or an X-Men situation, an X-Men event, not just an X-Men movie. I don't know what we're
we'll talk
doing
about
here,
it, but
Brian. I don't know what we're doing here.
yes, I'm looking forward to it, but I try to be intellectually honest about what we've seen. Like I said, the X-Men as characters, like where they're strongest, it really comes down to storytelling, commentary on social issues. It is not about gigantic effects and set pieces. That's not really like always at the heart of these stories. And the risk you run if you start to really leverage like Disney Plus to like, bring these characters to life is you kind of end up where Star Wars is right now. We'll talk about that in another show, but it's like Star Wars used to be big screen, automatic event. And nowadays, Star Wars kind of feels like it's small screen and not that big of a deal. And they're really struggling to get it back into the big screen, excitement. And like, we'll talk about it, but like they still got their work cut out for them. So like X-Men could be great. Like you could literally subvert the genre, reinvent it, and do things with it that have never been done before and really get people talking about how thoughtful this is or how, deep it is or but if you do that, like maybe you're alienating, the younger audience or the kids, like, what I mean? This is tricky. Like, this is not like, in some ways, Superman is a little easier to, you pick a tone, you pick a general motif, and then you can sort of set your agenda. And obviously the movie was, more successful than not. X-Men could go, well, we've seen it, like could go really wrong in the wrong hands if you don't execute it. Because we've seen some good X-Men, we've seen some bad X-Men on big screen. So I don't know. Like we'll talk about it, but it feels like a slow burn build to success, and they may not have that time.
Yeah, this has been our Marvel Roundup. Marvel Zombies reaction. Doomsday wraps filming. And the reset is not. It's not really it's like a second chance. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. If it's 85, we're gonna keep 85 cent. We'll see. We'll see. Spider-Man seems to still it still has our interest and excitement. Tom Holland is representing the character as best as he can and is listening to his fans. And they're making some interesting choices, some obvious choices with their casting, I think. X-Men 97 it isn't in the right hands, man. It isn't in the right hands. I'm sorry, isn't it in the right hands? And if it doesn't, Brian, if it doesn't do,
We
I'm gonna go. Oh man.
we will have our thoughts, but there's someone else who will have the thoughts that most people.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be tuning in more, so we'll be more excited to listen to what he got to say than the actual show because they're changing everything up. So a lot of the stuff that he's offered in terms of story and in terms of what could be and what should have been real interesting. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say regarding the episodes that we're going to be getting for X-Men 97.
We'll also keep in mind before we sign off here, these animated wars, if you will continue to be on the same cycle. So we now have confirmation that in 2026, you will get season 2 of X-Men 97, season 2 of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, season 2 of Blue Eye Samurai, season 2 of Cape Crusader, all confirmed to be coming in 2026. So they will all be head-to-head. They'll all be head-to-head again. And you will see, right, like who's able to maintain their level, increase their level, and who falls. There's no room for fall off, because I guarantee you one of those 4 shows is going to ascend, even as good as some of them were to start. At least one of those is going to ascend. So if you're the one that takes a material step down, I think you'll hear about it and you'll be forgotten.
Yeah, but let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of all of this. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. Please share it with your friends. And thank you for the continuous support on the channel by commenting and hitting that like button. We really do appreciate it. It really does help the channel. And we'll see you next time on another Gem Report.